Hello everyone and welcome back to this episode of Comic Book Catch-Up. This is episode 4, and for those of you who are not familiar with this series, this is where I take a comic book that came out in recent time, or even in past time, just something I wanted to read that I never really got around to, that I think is noteworthy enough where I can talk about it on this channel. Now I'd like to point out a couple of things about this. First off, this does not mean they're going to get a spoiler review, because my intention with this is I'm going to tell you about a book I liked, I'm going to recommend it to you, or I'm not going to recommend it to you. So this isn't going to be one of those things where we're going to go in depth on every single issue or every part of the book and you're going to get all the spoilers. It's going to be non-spoiler. Just a couple minutes talking about why I think this book is noteworthy, why I wanted to talk about it, and why you should pick it up or not pick it up. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about Ms. Marvel from 2014. This is the initial run that had Kamala Khan making her debut as a title character in her own solo ongoing. Now, a couple things about me and Kamala Khan. I've always been fascinated by this character. Even when she debuted, I was like, I wish I picked up that book when it came out because I really thought it could have been fun and interesting. I've always liked Kamala. I think she's a very fascinating character. I know her mostly from Champions. Like, I religiously read Champions when it came out and like the trades. I really do enjoy that book and those young heroes. Kamala to me is the example of moving forward in comic books and how we should kind of do this progression that kind of takes what we know about the past but push it in a new way. Because honestly, until Kamala, there hasn't been a lot of characters like her before it. There really hasn't. Like, she is unique in herself in a lot of things, and I thoroughly enjoy that character. So we're talking all of the initial run from the Willow Wilson book from just the first installment. I know she did some in the second installment, but it was 19 issues. That initial run was 19 issues because it ended because Last Days was happening when we're launching into Secret Wars and all that. It's really good. I really did enjoy reading this book. There's a couple things about it I think were hit or miss. One of them being the artwork. I know Adrian Alphona is a decent artist. There were some times where their artwork just didn't work for me. The heads were a little too big, a little too off on certain occasions. But overall, it was fine enough. But the story is really what sold me on this. So if this is your introduction to Kamala Khan, she is a 16-year-old Pakistani American who lives in New Jersey with her parents and her brother. And it's just kind of like the everyday life. It harkens back a lot to classic Spider-Man. Or to Ultimate Spider-Man, where we're like, here's our group of friends, here's our family, here's the characters involved in every situation, here's kind of who the main villain's going to be going forward in an overarching story. And I'll say that right now, I don't think the villain was that good or that strong, but they worked for the most part. I didn't have any problem with the villain. I just think that's what we're doing, that's the character we're using, this bird clone person. Okay, like, that's fine. The inventor, well, it's okay for the most part. What I think where Kamala really shines, and this isn't a negative about the character not being able to stand on her own, because I think it works better because she can stand on her own, is her relationship to the larger Marvel comic universe. She, in essence, is the audience, right? She has grown up with the superheroes around her. She's writing fanfics, like they're getting a bunch of clicks on the site where she posts them. She's obsessed with these characters. She has loved them. And she kind of just is trying to get into this world now that she has these powers. And if you don't know the origin how she got her powers, I'll just say it is connected to the Inhumans and some Terrigen Mist stuff that goes off in New Jersey and across, I guess, from New York too, just kind of in that area. So that's pretty much how she gets her powers, and she is the ability to like shrink her size and stretch her limbs and do all these like body changing stuff. And it's really fun. And this book really works just because Kamala is just such that compelling lead. She is kind of nervous doing certain things. She doesn't know how to compose herself in certain situations. She's trying to figure out how to be a respectable young woman so her parents can respect her, while still having that like rebellious ambition of a young woman, and they're like 16 years old. Like, I think she really holds this book together and is a very fantastic character. And like I said it before, she's the best character for the modern era because she checks off a lot of boxes that you wanted, and she's just a downright adorable character. Like, I really enjoy the way she interacts when she's meeting certain heroes, where she's like, oh my goodness, you're Wolverine. You're just like an angry short guy who beats up stuff. And he's like, yeah, you just distilled him down to one character, but you're still excited about it. Or when she's talking to Carol Danvers because Carol is her favorite character, which I don't believe in any world, because Carol is a terrible character. That's great. I'm glad Kamala likes her. And I like too, there's kind of like taking the moniker of Miss Marvel from Carol. That's kind of cute. But it's just really a really fun book. It harkens back to those classic books with your origin stories, you know? Like, her family also is very interesting. I don't remember their names for the life of me, but her brother's a very compelling character because he seems like the one character that I related to the most in the book, where he's just kind of like chill, easygoing. He doesn't really worry too much about the world around him, and he's smart enough to know how to compose himself and how to handle himself in situations, but he's also kind of carefree in the sense like, things happen, I'm not going to worry about them, I'm just going to exist in this spot and exist in that way. Towards the end of the 19 issues, I think it's around 16, 17, or 18 in the actual issues, Kamala has a really great moment with her mother. It's probably my favorite moment of the book, actually. I won't spoil it for you guys, but it's just that kind of moment that you're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense for the story we're telling, that this is where these two characters would meet at this moment, how the mother feels in this situation, how she responds. It's really nice and really sweet, and I like that because this book could easily become like, oh, Kamala's gonna sneak around every day and no one's gonna know, or like her parents are gonna be mad at her all the time. It goes in those directions a few times, but it's also kind of like, you're still reading a superhero book, we're not gonna worry too much about how her parents handle certain things, and we're going to enjoy what's going on in front of the screen, and that's really fun. And her friend of Bruno is another character I think is very enjoyable. Just a really nice fit for this world, seeing where he ends up and what he becomes and what he does in this book. It's really fun. A lot of great references to the Marvel Universe, a lot of great stuff with the heroes. Like I said, we see Wolverine, we see Captain Marvel. Other ones do appear. People related to the Inhumans appear frequently in this book because Kamala is directly related to the Inhumans, and I think that's a really great thing. I gotta commend Willow Wilson because this works because of her writing. Like, she just really figured out the right tone and the right balance for each issue, where, you know, here's the issue that's dedicated to the family drama and to Kamala's relationship to, you know, being Muslim and all that. And I think that's really great stuff. There's a lot of great references to Muslim just identity in there, and I think it's very important for this character and for this book. I really like when they're saying certain words from that culture or from that language that maybe an Englishman like me, I don't know, because I didn't bother to like study that, I guess, in a sense, but just seeing like, here's how they would say certain like weak-minded or what they relate to for Sunday or that kind of stuff. I think that's really important. I'm glad they put that in there to get you clarification so you understand what it is, instead of just like whitewashing the language and having it just be Americanized. Yeah, use those words. It's great. I think it's really enjoyable. And Kamala, I just can't get over how much I enjoy Kamala. I don't know if she's in a top 10 Marvel characters for me, but she's at this point where I'm definitely going to read the rest of her books. Like, I just thoroughly enjoyed seeing her interact in this world and being a part of the Marvel Universe. She's that compelling of a character, that interesting of a character, and she really made it work. She really did. I don't think there was anything I hated about the character of Kamala, which I really liked. So I'm kind of excited to see going forward, because there's the other run, there's the Magnificent Miss Marvel, see how that's going to go forward. This character is fantastic, and this book was a nice, solid run. It doesn't wrap up kind of abruptly. Of course it does, because during this time, Marvel was launching into Secret Wars, so we kind of have to abruptly end the book. But if you want a nice, solid run that takes a newly created character, there you can see their origin story, how they interact to the larger Marvel Universe, you see their friends, you see their family, you see their culture being portrayed in a way that you haven't really seen before in comics, and she's just a young, bubbly character that you could easily fall in love with and enjoy seeing. I think it's worth it. I started with Champions. I think you should start with this run. It is 19 issues. It's not going to be a long read. You're just going to enjoy yourself while you're reading it. It's really fun and really cool. So, the first 19 issues of Miss Marvel from 2014 by Willow Wilson and artist Adrian Alphona. Some hits, some misses, but it works for the most part. So I'm going to give this run a 8 out of 10. So thank you guys so much for watching this rendition of Comic Book Catch Up. Be sure to leave something in the comments if there's a book you'd like me to review. I'm only going to do ones that I haven't read before, so I'll let you know in the comments if you put one in that I've read before or haven't. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck. Tsunami Studios.